Do, 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 do. Am I the only one here? Am I the
I'm
only?
here.
Oh, you're here.
How we doing?
Good, man. What was your name again?
I'm Jesse. Jesse
Jesse
Dill.
Thornton Crawford. Yeah. I actually caught your last quarter. I caught your spiel or class here.
Awesome.
Really good stuff.
Awesome. Was it the same one?
I
It's
I'm not sure. I'm checking in with Mara. I got involved in my first deal during Ignite last year, and I missed a bunch of classes that week because I was running around with my head cut off, trying to figure it out. But sell your listing today,
yep. So you're listening.
man. I'm excited. I need to get my first.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
How long you been in the business?
Got my license at the end of October, so November, December, January, 3 months now.
Nice. Excellent. Hey,
Yeah.
I can't remember the gentleman's name that gets us all set up at the beginning of the class. Does he jump on every time?
Aaron,
Is it Aaron?
Aaron
Yeah.
West,
Yeah.
or sometimes Eric comes on here.
Eric. Okay. But somebody jumps
But I'm
on every
not sure.
time.
I'm not. Yeah, somebody usually introduces you.
Okay, cool. Because I want to get, I've got, as you can see, I've got my name on the other profile as well. I want to get that set up. I don't like doing the video on my computer. I like having it on my phone, and that way I can hook up my Bluetooth, and then I do
Yeah,
the presentation on the computer. So I can't do it from my side. If I want them to help me edit that, and we can get off and rolling.
yeah. Where's your phone at? Oh, you're on your phone now.
Phone's here, and then
Yeah,
the computer's
yeah.
here. I like to have them both set up for these if it works out.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, what I just got done reading the one thing, so good luck with that multitasking.
Well, once it's set, then I'm going to leave it alone. Otherwise, yeah, it might be an
Hey, there
issue.
he
We'll
is.
see.
There he is. He showed up. I
Excellent.
think his goatee's getting a little longer.
Let's see him. Oh, looks like I got like
Mr. West there. He's got us muted.
Okay. Oh, there he is.
Yep. There he come. No, he's still not talking.
Hey, Jesse.
Now he
Hey.
is. Don't
Good
be
to see ya.
shy. Don't be shy.
There we go.
Hey, Aaron, I had a quick question. Would you be able to? You could probably see my other profile that's logged in.
Yes.
Can you grant screen sharing controls or make that a host as well? So that because I like to have my video on my phone and then do my laptop here. So with the presentation, is that possible? I just want to be able to screen share from that profile.
Let me try something else.
Aaron, have you been under the weather?
No, I was on vacation last week.
Oh wow, where at?
Disneyland.
My man. Oh great,
Yeah.
good for you.
Yeah. So that's why I was not around. Okay, I see you, Melissa.
Good.
I got you.
Things that make
Let me ask really quick. I'll be right back.
Thanks.
I have a question. Where is the Sunset Corridor office located at?
Yeah. So we are located, if you, are you familiar with Portland?
Yep.
So what location are you?
I actually live in Medford in the Rogue Valley.
Okay,
I was
cool.
just curious where Sunset is.
So you come up
Yeah.
I-5 and then you hit the 217, take 217 to Highway 26 and go out towards Hillsborough. It's out there
Okay.
on the 185th exit. So kind of in between Hillsborough and Beaver. We were a Beaverton address, but then we got moved, annexed into Hillsborough. So that's kind of our location.
Okay.
So, fun
Cool.
fact,
That
I
answers
used
my
to live in Klamath Falls, and we went to Medford because that was the big town to do our school clothes shopping.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Big city.
Good
Big
job.
city.
I love it.
You know what? Medford is way big compared to Klamath Falls. Oh my goodness.
My 12 years. I've been here 12 years, and Medford's, making they're making improvements. It's a good,
So
good place.
I tried to set it so that all participants can screen share. Do you just want to give it a shot from that other one and see if
Yeah,
it'll-
let's do that. Let's do that. Let's get to that. Okay.
Hey,
We did it.
awesome. Very cool. Okay, I love your setup. This is great. Awesome.
Yeah, you bet.
Yeah, very cool. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to, as usual, check in with everyone on their 10-4s, contacts, cards, names in the database, and home previews, and check in and see how everybody's doing on that so far this week and today. Wiz, are you able to get us started today?
Yeah, sure. I'm just trying to set up here. Sorry. I actually only have 3. I add 3 in the contact list and on the database, and just kind of posting some online Facebook and Instagram stuff. That's all I did today.
Thank you, Wiz. Melissa, how about you?
So I'm actually the director of sales for the Lopez team, and so we're very new agents, except for Edel, and so that is something that I've been encouraging them to do. And I will add a tip. It's probably something you've already touched on, Aaron, which is the number of contacts that you have in your phone should match the number of contacts you have in your database. Somebody told me that, and I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah, I love that.
Right? I don't have that many, but
Thornton, how are you doing today?
Oh man, I am just doing peachy. I really don't have anything to update. But I did fortunately have a nice little coaching meeting with Matt last night. So if anything, I'm always seeking out more and more education 24 any time of the day. So I'm just kind of feel like I've hit not a plateau, but just the way the world is, and just trying to get out in front of people. It's hard when you live out in the country some days. But that's
Thanks, Gordon. Yeah, keep
all
at
I
it.
got. But I'm still here. I'm still here.
Yep.
So
Allison.
Hi. Yes, they had the new agent consultation with Kate. So start learning things, and I've been updating all the information, trying to learn the command and everything. Yeah, steps by step.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Let's see, Jamie, how about you?
Yeah, I don't have anything to report. I'm kind of getting these Ignite classes hit and miss, and so I'm doing the best I can, but I have a full-time job working for another agent, so she's been kind of coaching me and stuff like that with things. But as far as contacts go and stuff like that, it's been super hard for me because I have been in real estate on the transaction coordinating end for, I don't know, 10 years or something like that. So like literally everybody I know is already in real estate. So I'm working on it though.
Yeah, good. Keep at it. We're happy to have you here, and thanks for sharing.
Thanks.
I think that was everyone. So as you guys have probably already noticed, we have Jesse here today, Jesse Dill from Sunset Corridor. He's a principal broker with the property group at Sunset Corridor, has been at KWSC for 6 years, always very involved in our company's culture and leadership. Jesse was on the KW International ALC in 2019 and 2020. He was Northwest Regional Cultural Ambassador in 2019 and has top 1% sales volume for all of Portland area realtors. So a great resource for today's topic. And I will hand things over to Jesse. Thanks for being here.
thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Aaron. Appreciate you jumping on and getting us started. Was super excited to hear. It sounds like we've got a director of sales here. We've got, and then the rest, it sounds like fairly newer to the industry or newer agents selling. So this will be fun. Jamie, my transaction coordinator, got licensed and turned into an agent after I came to KW. So I've been through that with her, and I understand and I feel the pain there. So it takes a little while to get in it, but also someone mentioned, can't remember who it was. Oh, it was Melissa, talking about your contacts in your phone. I'll do that with new recruits, that people that maybe want to join our team that are brand new agents. And if you have an Android, I'm sorry, but if you have an iPhone, one of the things that I will do is because they'll say, hey, I don't have a database yet. I'm not, I haven't had time to put it together. I don't know where to start. And I'll say, go to your cell phone, and I'll have them go through and go to your contacts in your cell phone. And if you have an iPhone, you can do that right now. Go to your contacts and scroll all the way down in your contact list. Just keep on going until you get to the very end. And you'll be surprised how many contacts are actually in your phone. Because you might think, someone will say, I've got 100, 200, 300. And then some of these, they scroll down and they've got 900 or 3,000 contacts. So check it out, because it's like, wow, it's a big eye opener to see that. And then if you don't have that many in your database, she's exactly right. You don't have that many in your database. Why? They should be. And everyone should be in your database. Everyone should, you should thrive to build relationships with everyone in your database. So I'm super, go ahead.
Should you do the out of state family and friends too? Because most of the time, like a lot of my stuff, my family is out of state. So
yeah, if you think of me for any kind of real estate anywhere in the world, I'll tell you, we have a incredible referral network that I have contacts and access to agents all over the world. So that is why you're going to still see communication from me, so that when you think of real estate, call me and I'll help set you up with an agent in Arizona or in China or wherever it might be, because we have this referral network that's worldwide. And then you end up they just think of you for everything, and then you end up getting referral fees, 25% referral fees from that. So yeah, definitely, absolutely want to keep those in your database. Now you're going to have a different relationship with them, right? You're probably not going to be calling as frequently. You're not going to be touching them the same way with your marketing and the things that you put out there for them. But yeah, absolutely, connect with everyone you can and build that kind of rapport and relationships. And I love the question, you guys. I sometimes talk fast and go through things quickly. The material sometimes can be a little dry, and so or it's really good material. I was actually previewing it before, and there's a lot of great stuff in here. But if you guys have specific questions along the way that come up, you think, stop me and ask me just exactly what you did there. Before we start, we're talking about selling your listing, and we're going to be discussing several things with that. We're going to be discussing open houses and staging and being prepared with the seller and providing an extraordinary customer service. I wanted to see if there was one or two things that you guys wanted to make sure we talk about or cover, or questions that you have as we dive through this, and I can make sure and take care of it and cover it for you. Anyone has anything that they need answered or they want to learn more about through this process, I would like to help you do that.
I don't have anything right now, but if something comes up, I will be sure to ask.
Excellent.
Can you remind me again the topic today of the training? Because I'm driving and I'm almost back to the office.
Yeah, no worries. It's sell your listings.
Got you. So I do have a quick question. Can you connect a QR code to a Google form so that you can have people check in on open houses that way?
Ooh, absolutely. Yeah, you could connect a QR code to any link. So if you can create a link with a Google form, which you can, I mean, that's all web-based. You can find a free, I love that question. You can find a free QR code generator in your just by searching online. There's tons of them.
Yes.
And then you can put the link in there. You can provide it there. People can check in, put their information in. 100%. Great idea.
Well, I was thinking, a lot of people still are washing pins and they're concerned about that. So if they just scan it, they don't have to do that. They're only touching their own phone. So, okay, that's all. Thank you.
You bet. QR code's great because, when it first came out, everyone was like, what's this? I don't really want to do it. But the pandemic has forced us to use it. So everyone knows how to use it now. I went on a vacation to Mexico, and I was looking at, of course, when realtors, you go on vacation, you look at for sale signs everywhere, right? And I looked at one, and they had a giant QR code on the sign. And it was so that when people are driving by and they stop, they don't have to get out of their car. They just put their camera up to it and boom, they've got the listing right there. So I'd encourage you to use that maybe on your flyers or not. I wouldn't use it on the necessarily flyer. I mean, you could, but on the sign, the hard perma flyer signs that look like flyers, but they're a little larger, you can put those on your listings. They don't cost very much. I think they're around $50-$60. And then it's kind of like a billboard for you. So that's one tip idea. Okay, anybody else have any questions or any thoughts that they want to gain from today? Okay, cool. So we're going to go right into it. Did that? You guys talked about that. All right. This is for you, and then turn to page 8 to get started. Okay, and let's see. You guys, now each time I've only taught Ignite a couple of times, and this is actually my second time. But every time I get to this place, everyone says, or last time I got to this place, they say, "Hey, we do this on our own." Is that the case? You guys make calls on your own? Or are you doing that during this time in Ignite?
We do our own.
Yeah.
On your own. Okay. So we'll skip through that. Okay. Handwritten notes, the same thing. You guys take that and do that from home. Okay. All right. So we're going to go to getting your head in the game, page 11. Okay. All right. So far, you've worked hard to find the business and get the appointment. Once you have landed the appointment, you demonstrate to the seller your value as their listing agent, and they sign the listing agreement with you. Woohoo! I remember my first one, I was just like screaming in the car, excited, right? It had music up. I was just super excited. So celebrate when you get it. It's pretty exciting. Now what? It's time to act on your promise, what you promised with your seller and your listing presentation. It's more than just sticking a sign in the yard. Successful marketing and servicing a listing is very important to your client and could have a positive, long-lasting benefit for you. So if you guys do a great job, you're going to end up generating additional buyers. It talks about building a relation, building rapport, and creating. What it ends up doing is like you end up providing a level of service that's so high that they tell everyone that they know, right? They remember you, and so just really focusing on what you promised in that listing presentation, the appointment. Those are the reasons why they've hired you, right? So you're going to want to, you're going to want to perform to that, if not greater. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. This is a good funnel that shows you kind of the leads funnel. It's actually not super relevant to this page, but until it shows you like when you're lead generating and trying to get business, you're doing open houses. Everything is just a lead until you get it to an appointment. So you can see how you need to have more leads to get an appointment, and then once you get those appointments, then you have to convert those to agreements. So it's going to be less and less. So yeah, it's really, I want you guys to know, like, obviously everyone starts where you start as a new agent. The name of the game is just really building relationships and being consistent, and then providing extraordinary service. And since we've got this graph on here, I'll tell you that the number one tool that I was really successful for, it was more so something I created, but Keller Williams has a pipeline tool that's essentially just I don't know if anyone's seen it, but it's an Excel spreadsheet, and it has different tabs, and each tab is the different month. And everyone that you've talked to about real estate, you write their name in that month, and you continue to track those people, and you write notes in there. And the goal is just to simply fill that pipeline tool each month with as many people as possible. It's like kind of like a game, right? And of course, you're trying to convert them. You're ranking their motivation on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 would be that they're out shop, they're ready to go and out shopping. 10 would be they're not serious, but kind of maybe mentioned doing something someday. And you are trying to get those 10s to a 1. And so right now it's just building relationships with your database and meeting as many people as possible, talking to as many people as possible about real estate, and then supporting all of those efforts with social media and getting your face out there in front of people. So that's a little bit about that. Page 12, make it happen. So your fiduciary, a person who is legally or ethically entrusted to manage money or property between 2 or more parties. So they're putting their trust in you to market the property, and they want you to be honest and do that the right way. There are 3 steps in critical phase of your listing relationship with the seller: staging the property, marketing the listing, and communicating with the seller. And when we're going to be talking about staging the property, and when you hear that, a lot of times people hear bringing in furniture and paying money to have a professional company come in and stage. And yes, that's one aspect of it, but it starts with really preparing the property and getting the property ready for marketing. And sometimes that means you're doing some repairs, and we'll talk about a little bit about that. And sometimes that means you're bringing in furniture or having someone do that professionally, and there's a charge for that. And then and sometimes it means you're moving around the furniture that they have to help them see it in the light that the buyer would want to see it. So that's a little bit about the three, and then communication. Let's see, staging property, marketing the listing, and then communicate with the seller. Okay, we'll talk about staging first. So we talked about cleaning up. I think that's important. This I'll paraphrase this paragraph. Basically, they talk about buying a car, right? So you're out, when you go out shopping for a car, and let's say you go to used car lot, you walk in and let's say you see a beautiful car that is just like tires are shiny, the paint's really nice, it's detailed in the inside, and then you see one next to it that's a similar car, but it's just hasn't been washed. It's not it's just ugly. They haven't prepared it ready for sale. You're gonna be more appealed, more attracted to the one that was good to go and beautiful versus the one that needs some work. So that's very similar to a house. You can just put any home on the market, but preparing it for marketing is crucial. I have sellers often say that they want to sell their home as is, and that's fine. Actually, what's funny is I have my computer here for the presentation, and then I have my phone up here because I have my headset. I'd like to be able to hear you guys better through that, and it just works a lot better. And as I'm talking, one of my sellers flashed up on my phone, and I have it silenced, but the notification for some reason didn't get silenced, and it said, "Can we sell our home as is?" So I love that because the answer is yes, you can try, but when you go into it, like I'll have sellers that I'll meet in person and look at their home, and they'll say, "We don't want to do anything." Okay, and then I'll explain to them, that's fine. I don't want you to do anything major. However, there's a certain standard that we want to try to get to before going on the market. Otherwise, you're not going to like the offer that you do receive. And because if you just put it on the market doing nothing at all, and there's certain cases where you have to, because that's just what it is. But 99% of the time, you can talk them into doing the lawn, edging and mowing, maybe spreading some bark dust. If they don't want to do that, fine. Edge and mow, pressure wash, touching up paint. And you just did that on all of your listings, and also looking at the front door. The front door is the very first thing you see when a buyer touches the home. The door handle, the door, just making sure that all is presentable, looks nice and clean. And then professionally clean. Like if you were to do those 4 or 5 things, you're going to be super successful in almost every listing. Now, if you take it a next step and then look at like, okay, let's bring in some furniture, let's restage what they have, or let's minimize what they have, then that's the next level. But I think that it's important to know that you can do minimal stuff and be very, very successful with that. So that's a little bit about that. We'll go to the next page here. Talks about realtors who worked with buyers. Say most are willing to offer more money for a staged home, and how much. So this is kind of older data, and it's probably a larger percentage because we're seeing the market kind of go crazy right now. But in 2015, 32% of realtors report 1 to 5% increase on offer for staged homes. And then 16% said 6 to 10%, 3% said 11 to 15%. And then the National Association of Realtors at the time said that the average or the median cost of staging a home is $675. I'd say that probably increased quite a bit since 2015. You're probably median in our market, which is my team covers the entire Portland market. We are probably seeing about 1,100, 1,200 as a median price for staging, and that's professionally staging. We also have a stager that will come in and do a consultation and help the client understand where to put their things and restage the things they have and the things that they need to pack up. So it's important to have that toolkit of different types of folks, professionals that can help you. Especially if it's not something that you're going to focus on. And as a new agent, I don't believe you should be focusing on being a professional stager. You should be focusing on being a friend to your database, building relationships, and really understanding how you can serve people, and having those resources when you get the business. Now, of course, when you're brand new, you don't have a huge budget, so you may want to hire. You may want to do some of that stuff yourself, and that's fine. Just don't get super sucked into other things. Stay really focused on connecting with your people and building relationships. Often we'll have people that will ask, or new agents that will ask, like, is staging something I have to pay for, or is it something that the seller would pay for? The answer is yes, either way. You can pay for staging. I don't, and I can't really remember a time where I did. I don't think I've ever paid for staging. So some agents do. Some agents do it themselves. Some agents pay for it for their client. It's an incentive for them to use them as the listing agent. Maybe they're interviewing 5 different agents, and that seller says, what about staging? And they say, what, I'll go ahead and hire my stager to help you. I have paid for the client to have a staging consultation, and that's extremely beneficial. You walk into a home and you look and you see just stuff everywhere, right? And they don't see it. I mean, you guys probably understand what I'm saying. You've seen a home, or I have certain areas of my house that are that way, where you're just like, you walk by that thing or that stuff every week and you just don't see it. They let you in, you tour the whole house, and you're trying not to say, this needs to go, but at the same time, if you don't feel comfortable talking about those things, sometimes it's easier, especially when you're new, to be like, I've got someone that I will pay for, and I think ours is a couple $100, that comes out and will help you understand what to keep, what not to keep, and what to reuse. And sometimes that eases some pressure off of you when you're first starting out. And then what I did when I first did that is I would be there at those staging appointments, and I would just walk around with that staging consultation person, and we would walk around, and I would just be a sponge, listen to every word she said, and then that's how you learn, right? And then eventually you'll be able to do a walkthrough with your clients and be able to say, hey, do this and that. So just know what your resources are, your tools. Any questions? I'm going super fast, so I want to make sure I've answered any questions.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Do you recommend that your seller starts packing and putting, those, things that they would need to pack up anyway, like treadmills, things like that, into a storage unit or a pod, or just put it all into the garage if you can?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great question. So yes, the answer is absolutely. So what makes it a little easier for folks sometimes is, and it can be overwhelming for sellers because they've got a big house, right? They've got lots of stuff to go through, and what do we pack? And then it's just like, oh my gosh, we've got all this other stuff going on. So so as a new agent, I remember it was like overwhelming for me too. Like, how do I I coach them to these things? So what I started doing is saying, let's just take it room by room. What can we minimize? And I would talk to my stager, and my stager said, most of the time it's 50% of the items that are in a typical home in each room needs to be removed. So if you look at the closet and the closet's full, 50% of those things need to go away. If there's extra stuff that shouldn't be there, it needs to go away. And so, that's just kind of a general rule. But yeah, packing is absolutely important. If they've got so much stuff, then they could rent a storage unit. The first month's typically free on those. So they, might only have to pay a couple of months or a month. And then, but if they don't want, or a pod, they can pack, do one shipment of a pod to wherever they're going. You can use the garage. Garages are very forgiving. A lot of people don't park their cars in a garage. I would say if it's a nicer home, don't use the garage. If it's kind of 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom, 2-bath on a quarter-acre lot, that's just an average home. You and the garage isn't anything special. That's the key. If the garage isn't anything special, I would say yes, use that for storage, maybe on one side of the garage. Make sure that people can still walk in, and there's pathways to the electrical panel, to the furnace and everything else. But garages are very forgiving, and a lot of people end up doing that, is storing things. Did that help?
Yes, thank you.
Awesome, you bet. Okay, and then this, any other questions? Before I jump into the next piece. So the next page, or the down below on page 14, shows you the rank of importance for interior staging. And this is very true. Like the living room is number one, but usually you don't see a house that only the living room staged. It's typically the living room, kitchen, and most of the time the master bedroom. Those are the main master bedroom, master bathroom, and I will say primary bathroom, primary bedroom, and so those are the main areas that people will stage, and it's the most important spaces for people. So you're going to, when you're thinking about improvements for a home, those are the areas people focus on. Those are the ones we want to stage for the most part. Do you have to stage every single home? No, you don't. Some homes it doesn't necessarily matter. We will list vacant homes. Let's say, like for instance, we put a house on the market that was 1,400 square feet and on a quarter-acre lot, and 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and it was super dated. Right. And so like, we're just going to put a bunch of modern furniture in there. And, it just didn't make sense to stage it in this case. There might be some things you can do, some accent things, but for the most part, those types of homes we don't stage, and we have great success. We still work on for that scenario, the seller wanted to put it on as is. And I said, okay, let's do that, but let's do these 5 things. And we did all the things that I was telling you about, is painting and touching things up and cleaning, had a professional cleaner, landscaped the yard, just spread bark dust and mowed and just clean things up, trim things up. And just, but if buyers walk in and things are touched up and it feels like it's been well maintained, versus all kinds of stuff that they have to deal with. They're probably going to paint the walls anyways, but a fresh coat of paint goes a long ways. And sometimes sellers will say that, well, they're probably going to replace the carpet anyways. And if the carpet is, or they're probably going to paint anyways. If the carpet is really dated and it's gross, sometimes people can't see past that. And yes, you can provide a credit for that if you'd like, but sometimes people can't see past that. So it would be handy for you at some point in your career and early on, when you're starting to get listings, to find a reasonable carpet person that you can go to and just say, hey, I need carpet in this. And that I have one that I send out and he puts the same carpet in every house that needs carpet. And it's a middle of the grade, not too cheap, not too crazy, and it's a medium, height, and it's for one of those standard homes, not luxury, just an average home, and ready to go. So those types of things are really important, because soil, gross carpet is never appealing, and people just not write offers on it. So there's that. Let's see here. Oh, so this is exactly what we're talking about. So sellers being reluctant. So we'll go through here, and how would you handle these objections? I don't see why it's so important to stage a home. What would you say? Someone can jump in. The seller said that to you. What would your response be?
So we're trying to sell your home. So your home is as it's a product essentially. So we want to sell a product, and we want to put its best foot forward. So you enjoy your home and it looks wonderful for your home, but we want to have somebody else be able to walk into it and see them in their home. So so we need to put its best foot forward, I guess.
I love it. Yep. And it's also going to help us sell faster and for more money. Right. So a lot of times people are like, well, they're going to do it anyways. I don't want to spend the money. But it's actually going to end up getting them more money. So that house that was dated, that was not well taken care of, that now feels like it's been well maintained through the years. And that's actually real comments, real feedback from buyers that came through our open house. Feels like it's been well maintained through the years. Had 8 offers on it this weekend. So, and the seller ended up getting 30,000 more than the asking price on a house that needs a lot of work. Of course, the market's crazy right now, but at the same time, that is the reason. If we had just put it on the market, we'd be lucky to get one at the price that we listed at. So, thank you for that. That's exactly right. Do we really need to make this repairs? And so we've kind of answered that question with what I just said, so we don't need to necessarily go into that. Can we sell the property as is? There's also another thought there, is like, would you prefer to pay a few $100s to paint a room, or would you like to deduct $1,000 to $3,000 on a credit? Because like if you're going to say, hey, we're going to sell it as is, and then there's this dry rot that needs to be taken care of, and now it could have cost you potentially $1,000, but now they're asking for the dry rot to be taken care of, the house to be painted, and now the seller's into it 5,000. So it definitely makes sense to take care of that ahead of time. All right, we'll jump to page 16, marketing the listing. So this is the 14-step marketing plan, okay? And the first one is price the home competitively with the current market and pricing trends. And stop me if you have questions on any of these. That one's obviously pretty straightforward. Advise sellers on how to attract buyers by showing their home in the best possible light. Place a for sale sign and property flyers easily accessible for drive-by buyers. Respond to all buyer inquiries immediately. So that's so important. I talk to this about to my team a lot, and everyone is important to respond to quickly, right? Your database, the current clients that you have, leads are extremely important. And so you have to prioritize who you're, like, when you start to get busy, it will happen, right? You guys will, the new agents that are just kind of beating their heads up against the wall trying to get business, like, there will come a time, and it's different for everyone, that you will be busy and you will have a lot on your plate, and you'll be closing transactions feeling good. And when that time comes, you will need to prioritize what's most important. Not that something is not that one person is not as important as a different person, but the activity or task doing has a ranking of importance. So if I've got a seller that calls me and says, hey, Jesse, I need you to call me back. I have a question about the open house, and I'm concerned about something. Just give me a call. So that's obviously very important. At the same time, I got a voicemail from a lead that said, hey, Jesse, we're looking at this 3-bedroom, 2-bath home, and we're curious if we can take a look at it, set up an appointment, or they might just say, we have questions. Jesse, we're looking at this 3-bedroom, 2-bath home. We have questions. Can you give me a call? Both of those are equally important people, but the lead we would call first. And then and because that's business we don't have, right? We already have the business before. And some people are like, why would you call your client first? It's not that we would wait a very long time to call them. We would call the lead first, secure that as an appointment, and then immediately after, I would call the client. And it just works the mindset of like how you're supposed to be working on things. This is not the only example that I could give you about the different tasks that you have, but think about that when you get busy and you've got multiple people to call. What's the most important to get you to where you need to go? Or can someone else take care of something that is on your plate? And that's later, obviously, when you're new, you can't hire an assistant, or there are transaction coordinators that get paid per transaction, and $300 to $400 a transaction, maybe $500. And I'd highly recommend that. Maybe find one that gets paid out of closing, so you don't have to pay them, per month, and they just get paid when it closes, because that's one less thing that you have to focus on. And your time is best contacting your people and building those relationships. Not to say you shouldn't fumble through a couple of transactions just to know the process on the paperwork side. I think that's definitely important when you're first starting. Questions on any of that? Okay. We are going to put the for sale sign in, respond to buyers immediately. You're going to put it on the KWLS, the MLS. So the KWLS, I believe, just gets populated automatically. The MLS, obviously, you would enter that into your local MLS, and then that syndicates to all the other websites that are out there. You don't have to manually put it on Zillow and Redfin and all the other websites, Remax. That's a IDX partnership that we have once we list it in our MLS. So that's really nice that you can already going to your sellers, hey, we put it onto the MLS, and then it's syndicated to over 200 websites, and it just goes everywhere. So that's cool. Obviously the next one talks about marketing on multiple websites, and then post the home. It says on your KW, on your branded KW app, but I think what they meant to say is with your KW branded app, because you can't really post it on your app. But you can, if you guys anyone hasn't done it yet, I would download the KW app that you're able to search for properties, and then you can find yourself and select yourself as an agent. And then you can share that app with people. And then when they download that, if you share, hey, here's my app, it will be branded to you. So if you don't know how to do that, I'm sure there's a tech person in your office that can walk you through that. And just all you got to do is just text it to them. Hey, download my free mobile app. It's branded to me, and I'll be connected with you. The other thing is, what's cool about that is a lot of you would naturally think that just buyers want to see that information, right? But you could reach out to people that are just homeowners and just say, hey, I know that you're not in the market to purchase anything right now. But I also reach out to people that have homes, because sometimes people are curious about what's going on in their neighborhood. They want to be the first to know when their neighbors go in the market, so that you understand what values are doing in your market, your local market. So if you don't mind, I'll send you my branded KW app. It has my information. You can reach out anytime, but you can kind of keep tabs on what's going on in your area. There's an app feature on there where you can circle around the neighborhood and really understand if that's something you're interested in. I can forward it to you. So that could be just a way to touch potential future sellers that will also become buyers. Create flyers and comment cards for viewers. So yeah, you can do, people still do paper flyers. I do the plastic ones. It wasn't for a while. I was still doing paper for a while, but the plastic ones are nice, and you can put the QR codes for people to scan. And then just listed, you don't necessarily need to do that stuff. Just listed notifications to the sellers. If you're going to do that and you have a budget, what I would do was I would kind of do it as a strategy. I would call the title company. This is super easy to do. The title company is more than happy to help you get addresses. So you just give them your address of your listing and you say, hey, I would like 25 of the closest neighbors around my listing. You think 25 is not very many, but it's all the people that are going to drive by and see your house, right? The people that live on one side, the people who live on the other side. You could even, if you wanted to, pull up a plat map and ask the title company for a plat map, and then draw on the plat map, take a picture of it, send it to them and say, these properties are the ones I need addresses for, address labels. They even send you labels free. Doesn't cost anything. Their customer service, that's what they do, because they want you to send them business, right? When you sell a house, they want you to say, hey, I'm going to use First American Title or Fidelity. And so they're helping you be successful. And then mail it to 25 of the closest neighbors. Everyone that sees the house is really who your audience is. You could mail it to everyone, 200 if you wanted to, if you have the budget for it. But that's where you get the most traction for your just listed posts or postcards. Those are the same 25 or 50 that you're going to door knock before an open house and say, hey, I wanted to hand them a flyer or an invitation. I wanted to provide you this flyer or invitation on my open house this weekend. Wanted to personally invite you. And then they may come. You may not get a whole lot, but every once in a while you get one or two person that you saw face to face. And then they come through the open house. You don't know it, and they don't know it, but they're actually interviewing you. Whether they know it or not, they're interviewing you. You've taken the time to knock on their door, give them a flyer. You're doing an open house. They're checking out what's going on. And when it comes time for them to sell, they're going to think about the people the realtors that have made an impact on the industry, their neighborhood, themselves. So then a follow-up to that, I know I'm getting off on a tangent, but it's important. The follow-up to that is that you provide them that flyer. They come in through the open house. Then it goes pending. You throw the sale pending sticker on the sign. Now they see that. They drive by, they see it, the 25 or 50. And then you go back through once it's closed, or you can do it when it's pending, and let them know that it closed. And with the permission of the buyer's agent, you can ask the buyer's agent if it would be okay to explain to some of the neighbors who the family is that's moving in, or the person that's moving in. And you could walk through and say, oh my gosh, we just closed. We listed at this price, listed at 400, and we got 450 for it. My sellers are thrilled. And you guys will be so happy because we moved the nicest family, and they have 2 kids, a dog. They're super great people. They're involved in this and this. And it's just a great conversation to have with future sellers. So it's, you see how you're everything you do and you're kind of doing it intentionally. You're not just mailing like this checklist, this marketing plan says just distribute just listed notifications to neighbors and encourage them and family and friends about the home. Yes, that's great, but to take it to the next step, and your efforts weren't just wasted by just printing out some things and handing them out, you're also taking those next steps, because your open house, your listing should, if it's done right, it should get you another listing, maybe two, and another buyer. And if you have a procedure, a process, and you're doing that consistently, and then once you're doing consistently, if you then you can start making tweaks on it and saying, you know, I'm going to do this a little bit different because I'm noticing that I'm not getting a great outcome or result this way. I'm going to tweak it a little bit here. So a little bit about how we work the just listed, just sold cards. Target marketing to active real estate agents who specialize in selling in your home's neighborhood. Great. I think that's great. I would look and see who have sold recently in your neighborhood, buyers agents and listing agents. And you can do that relatively easy by pulling up, just doing a map search on your MLS around the neighborhood, just the neighborhood, right? And seeing who's sold in the last 3 months or 6 months. And you can find those listing agents typically on the bottom of that listing in the MLS. It will also show you who the buyer's agent is. If you can look them up on your, most of the time their phone number is there. But if it's not, you can look them up on the MLS and call them and say, hey, I wanted to let you know that I've got this listing and just want to give you a heads up. Now, depending on your coming soon rules, like our MLS will not allow us to do promotion of listings before it goes live, unless we are only promoting to other members of our MLS. And as it coming soon, we have the paperwork. So just be careful there. There's that. And then MLS Tours. So what they're talking about there is like the Tuesday brokers tour is what we do here. And it's not as popular now than it was many years ago. We're in a drastic seller's market right now. Inventory is low, so you put a house on the market on a Thursday. That's what we do, and then we do an open house both Saturday and Sunday if it's priced correctly. We have multiple offers on Monday. We don't make it to Tuesday, so we don't have the brokers open as often, and really it's not super effective in this market, in my opinion, unless you've got something super unique that you want to share with the industry and you feel like you got to get agents in there to be able to see the uniqueness of the property or what's special about it. In a market where you've got lots more inventory, maybe every third house in the neighborhood's on the market, like an extreme buyer's market, then brokers opens are important, and a lot of agents would use them as tools to understand really the value of the property, what agents feel it should sell for, so they can provide that feedback to sellers. And a lot of people like to go and get the food or the prizes and stuff that they give, but that's not really helping you sell the house. It's as a new agent though. If you're just trying to understand the market, I think it's a great activity to go on Tuesdays, especially when you're first starting out. Go tour some homes. Typically, the listing agent is in the home, and they're probably not getting a crazy amount of people through there. They might, but most of the time it's you and the listing agent. You walk through, you get to ask somebody that has a listing and may have been in the business for a very long time, anything. You can say, hey, I'm a new agent. What are the top 3 things that you think I should focus on as being a new agent? What do you feel like this property will sell for? You can ask them any question and they'd be happy to give you their time because they're just sitting there doing nothing anyways. So that's a great resource for new agents, and look at it as an opportunity. Let's see here. Mls Tours, create open house schedule and market and host an open house to promote the prospective buyers. We talked about that. Target active buyers and investors in your database who are looking for homes in this price range. So yeah, it's a great opportunity to call your database, let them know about the listing once it's gone live, and that you've got it, and sometimes what we'll do is we'll tour homes, go on a tour and look at homes and think about a client or a friend that it may work for, and call them right in that house and be like, oh my gosh, I found one of that. I think that is amazing. I'm going to send you the listing after I'm done looking at it. So that could be a way to stir up activity. Provide sellers with weekly updates detailing marketing efforts and continuing comments from prospective buyers and people that visit the home. So that's so important. It says weekly, it should be like every other day. You should be, especially on a new listing when it first hit on the market. In this market, you're getting showings, you're getting feedback. The seller should know what's going on at all times. So always provide that information to them. Okay. All right. Page 17. How we doing? Doing good? I got some thumbs up. Good. Excellent. So let me know again if you guys have questions, or if I'm not explaining it well, if I need to slow down, I'm happy to do so. So this next page, they want you to evaluate one home. Is this something you guys do outside of the class as well? The evaluate a home that you may have seen on your 10-4?
Explain evaluate, like you mean
it sounds like you guys would pick a listing that you may have previewed in the last week or so, and then you take this sheet and you say, okay, is the home priced properly? We're on page 17, according to the market comps, and then you go through and look at that. It sounds like more of an exercise that you guys would work on and do some research online.
Yeah, sounds like
we haven't done that before in class.
Okay. Is that something that you guys want to do now? Yeah.
Sure. I mean, I don't have a home in front of me, but except my own. But
yeah, here's the thing. Let me look at this real quick. I think this is more of, because they want you to look at comparables for the area. So it's something maybe that the previous instructor would have had you kind of know about it so that you could come prepared for that. So I think this might just take a bunch of time, and it's not necessarily for class activity right now, unless anyone has any other idea of how to do it. I think let's pause on that, but it's a good exercise. I would say just, any of the homes that you've previewed, look it up, and then go through in this page and do it at another time. But we'll go through the page and say, was this home priced accordingly to the comparables? So is it too high, too low? All these different great questions that will help you kind of engage with and this would also be a great tool to bring out on your Brokers Open. When you go look at preview homes, asking the agent some of the questions. Where do you think this home should sell at? So there's that. So go to page 18.
Can I ask you a quick pricing question?
Yeah, you bet.
So in my area, I live in Tigard. I've noticed that some houses in my area, one just across the street, got listed for $595 and sold for $750 within 2 days. So, and I'm noticing, and I went to an open house over in Bull Mountain, and they listed at $899, and the house clearly was going to go for, well over $1 million. And there was probably at least 50 people in the open house and just droves going into it. So, obviously the listing agents are listing a lot lower than they know that they're going to get, because they're going to get those multiple offers. But what does that conversation look like with your seller? And
Mhm.
is that a real conscious, like, I know you're going to get 155 over your
Mhm.
list price if you do this, or is this more like a gamble?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great question. This is a part of the market right now that just makes your head go. The market's in a weird place. I've been doing this for 17 years. I have not ever seen some of the things that people are doing right now. And I will tell you that the majority of those that you are seeing are priced where they should be priced based on the data. And people are doing stupid things because they want to win, and they're accelerating the price and saying that they'll make up the difference in cash if it doesn't appraise, and all kinds of stuff. I mean, I have many examples for you, but like a lot of the ones I've seen recently, I have like 3 or 4 of them that I've seen recently have gone over 100 to 250 over. And it's just like mind-boggling. Like, how is that even possible? And what does that do for the market? And the name of the game right now is we just need more listings. We need everyone, you guys, to go out and find the listings. I know it's easier said than done. But you know, that's what's happening. It's a supply and demand issue, and it's not necessarily people strategizing that should go lower to get more. Now, pricing it where it should be and not pushing it too high is the right thing to do. And there's certain areas, like you live in Tiger, that's you know, it's a market where things are hopping, and you're not going to have any problems right now. I actually just wrote an offer on one Tiger that was a similar situation. I wonder if it's the same one. But in, like, out in Forest Grove, I took a listing out in Forest Grove, and we didn't have the same activity, and we're going to be listing another one out there. I called an agent yesterday that has one on the market. It's active for 2 days, and they said, "What's the activity like?" She's like, "We've had like 5 personal showings, and 2 of them are writing offers, but like way less activity than I expected." So you kind of really have to pulse the market and really understand what's going on in your specific area, because to me, that feels like that market over there is shifting a little bit. It's not as hot as it was. Tiger, Southwest Portland, Northwest Portland, anywhere in East Portland, anywhere close into downtown, Hawthorne, Belmont, all that stuff's just going to be hot for a while. But when you start seeing other areas kind of starting to around the outskirts starting to slow down a bit, then it gives you some signs that you know, it's changing. But yeah, I would say, did that help? I know it's just a weird time right now. It's hard to know how to coach your clients to that too. If anyone ever gets in a situation where you've got one that you feel like is going to go crazy like that, I'm always open to helping strategize. That's a part that I really like to do. And but most of the time it's just where the market's going. And how do I coach my sellers to price? You asked that question on where to price it. Is you know, we don't want to go too low, because you could do something like that just by not having the information. But most of the time, it's pricing it where it should be. It's pricing it where the other sold comps were, but also understanding, more importantly, what the pending sales are doing. So calling the pending agents, even the active ones, and asking them, saying, "Hey, I've got a listing." Like, my conversation yesterday was, "Hey, I'm going to be listing a house in this neighborhood, and I'm just baffled on how to price this crazy market. What did you see? What have you seen? What's your activity been like?" And if they know that you're not someone trying to write an offer on their listing, a lot of times they give you great information, right? So just ask those questions with those agents. Great question. Yeah, you bet. Let's see here. We're going to go through, I think we're on 18 still. So holding effective open house, part of your marketing strategy on your 14 steps. Open house benefits the seller by attracting buyers to the home. The more visits a house gets, the faster it will sell. Buyers love open houses. That's typically where they first start in the process, is they start kind of shopping for open houses and online, looking online. So if you're a new agent and you don't have a database, continue to build your database, continue to build relationships in there. You can't force those people to sell, right? They're going to sell when they're ready, and you're going to want them to think of you when they are ready. However, if you want business that's sooner, then I would be creating an open house plan to try to be an open house expert and look for agents in your market center that has availability for open houses. And if there's, like for our office, I don't know if it's like this with you guys, but someone puts out an email that says open house available and it's gone like within seconds, right? So like I just did that because none of the agents on my team couldn't do it the last weekend, an open house. So I just put out an email to our office. We've got like 220 agents in our office, so there's a lot of folks. And I had, within seconds, I had someone call me, and one person called me and she got it. And then I had like 25 emails of people that just were trying to get the open house. What that told me is, like, if you want the open house and you see those emails, find that agent's phone number, Google their name, look at their email signature and call them instantly. And then build a relationship with the agents in your office. If you want to try to do more open houses, let's say you get one, go above and beyond with just the same stuff we talked about in the previous page with your sellers. Do it with that agent. Communicate with them, overly communicate with them, provide just a great service. Know that is their seller, that is their listing, and respect that, and provide them feedback quickly. So I have an agent that will provide me feedback after the first hour. Hey, after the first hour, we had 6 groups that came in or 11 groups that came in. This was the general feedback. One person said they might be writing an offer. Whoa, that's awesome. Now I can go to my seller and tell them after the first hour, this was the feedback. And how does that make me look as an agent? Like, wow, that's great. So then after the second hour, then they provide that too. But it's important. A lot of agents, when they first start out, it's stressful, right? You're setting up signs. You got to be there at a certain time. You got to take the signs down. Build in some extra time before your open house. Say an hour before, just to drive around the neighborhood, look to see where you're going to put up the signs, have a plan. And then after the open house, build in another 30 minutes to an hour, 45 minutes of taking down, and expecting that someone might stay a little longer past your time, and you want to be there for them. But before you leave the house, if you're hosting it for a listing agent and you're trying to build a relationship, before you leave the house, you need to send them an email or a text with the feedback. Not when you pick up the signs, not like an hour later. It has to be instantly, because what happens on my end as a listing agent, I've got an open house agent holding it open that's doing a great job, but I don't get any feedback at the end, like right at the end. Most of the time the seller calls and says, hey, how'd it go? Did you sell the house? And if I can't tell them what happened, if there was any interest or how many people were there, I can't get a hold of you, then it ends up being, not good. It doesn't feel good to them. So just those types of things, you can build relationships and with agents in your market center, and then they'll continue to call you instead of sending the email out looking for an agent in the office that may or may not do a good job. That's actually how we hired one of our agents on our team. Someone was just above and beyond, and we were like, hey, do you want to come work on our team? You're amazing. And she's one of our top agents on our team now. So yeah, that's a little tip there. Buyers love open houses. They offer a relatively safe and non-aggressive sales environment. Yeah, it's just it's easy, right? They just walk in, you've got something to show them. Some people are more hands-off and don't want anything to do with you. And some people are open and will talk. We do have everyone that comes in sign a sign up, just basically saying that they were there. And we ask the seller permission to make it a requirement that they have. So when we in our listing presentation say, is it okay for us to tell buyers that this is your requirement? And can we make this a requirement that they fill out a sheet saying who they were and their contact information? Because we don't know who these random people are in your home. And if there is a theft thing, then you have that information. We've never had any issue with that, but it could happen. Also allows you to gather that contact information and follow up with that lead that came through. We also have a spot to say, are you being represented by an agent? And we do. I love whoever said about the QR code that's electronic that they can fill out from their phone. That's great if they actually do it. And so we've tried the electronic stuff, and they'll say, yeah, they'll scan it, get it on their phone, and then they don't actually submit it. So we went old school, and we have these small clipboards that have just a sheet on it, and there's a stack of them. We just hand it to them and just say, seller requires everyone to fill this out and provide feedback. And so then they do, and then we've got a piece of paper with their contact information and everything. We can get back to them. So that's another way to capture information in an open house. Let's see. Great face-to-face prospecting, and if someone sees you in an open house, and you can build rapport with them, and the next step is to the goal of an open house is obviously to expose the property to the market for your seller and get more buyers in there. But if they're new in the process, the people that come in, they may not be pre-approved yet, so they're not a buyer necessarily for the house that you're holding open. But it could be a buyer for another house, or an opportunity for you to create a relationship and help them sell a house. So the goal of the open house, when someone comes in and they're not represented and they're not necessarily interested in that house, would be to, or if they were, would be to schedule a buyer's consultation with them, a time where you guys can get together and you can talk to them a little bit about the home buying process and see if they're able and willing to take the next step and work with you and sign a buyer broker agreement, and you're off and running. I think that is key, because if you just say, hey, here's my card, call me, or you try and follow up with them on the papers that they leave, a lot of times people just don't call you back. So the goal is, if they're not represented and they're in the open house, the goal would be to try to get them to an appointment. And they may feel like they want to just shop around and still do open houses. But the thing that I will tell them is, like, if you're not represented, you're going to miss out on opportunities. And we will make sure that you see every opportunity, and we get you into homes. This one's you're lucky enough to have an open house to go into, and you've got a little time, and we can help you write an offer if you need to. But others aren't that way. You probably have called on other homes that are sale pending. And there is most of the time right now, in most of the neighborhoods, I see 7 out of 10 homes are sale pending. So there's a good chance that the ones that they call on are sale pendings. They've probably experienced that. And if you don't want to, Mr. or Mrs. Buyer, if you don't want to have that experience of missing out on those opportunities, the first step in in your process is to do a buyer's consultation and pre-approval. So how does it work for you? How does next Wednesday work for you? And try to get that appointment scheduled, because that's, like, I had a newer agent that was doing open houses, and she had some amazing conversations, and she would get their contact information. And those conversations were incredible. And she just felt like so connected. Well, then that buyer went into the next house and felt just connected with someone else. Right. So until I was like, you've got to set the appointment. And until she really realized that she could do that, then that's when she just started really taking off. And she was scheduling appointments right and left because those conversations were great. And they did feel a connection there. So also you get leads. Don't be afraid to continue to call about them on a regular basis as many times as you feel like you need. I mean, until they tell you to stop calling, essentially. Remember, like this business, we focus on it every single day because it's our livelihood, right? It's not their livelihood until they absolutely have to focus on it, or they want to focus on it, but it's not necessarily a dire need, but they want to get something else. And most of the time it's they need to. There's something going on in their lives that it's necessary for them to buy or sell. So that's when they're going to be focusing on it, not when they're not just on a random Tuesday when you're calling them. So don't get discouraged if they don't answer. You're leaving message, you're texting. I mean, I'll follow up with someone, 15, 20 times over the course of a year or 6 months, and eventually they will either tell you not to call anymore, or they will call you, or they'll pick up one day and they'll be like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry for ghosting you. They apologize, right? Like, yes, we'd like to do something. It's probably going to be a couple months, but we're gearing up. Or and they really appreciate it that you continue to follow up. So just remember that. It's a good lesson as you're new, really eager to try to get some business. Let's see. Open houses are just great for good free exposure for the neighborhood. So we're gonna watch a video, and I'm gonna do that on my screen here. Maybe. Okay. So give me a thumbs up. I'm going to push play, and give me a thumbs up if you guys can hear this when I push play. I'm going to do it on this other screen here. Turn this down. Okay, I'm going to do this on this other screen. So let's see. Hi, I'm Chris Suarez. Hang on. Can you guys hear that?
We did for a second with an echo, and then now I can't.
Yep, same here.
Yeah, same.
You can't hear it right now?
No.
Is that right? Okay. Hang on 1 second here. And you heard that like echo. That was because my other. Here's what I'll do. I'm going to put this video in the chat, and then if you guys can all listen it to on your own. The other thing is I'm not super great with the chat, so if there's questions you guys have answered while you're watching the video, I'll try to catch up here. All right, so go ahead and click on that link. You may need to sign into your command. You just use your command password, and you should be good to go. You good? Somebody's got their music on, or mute yourself.
To holding an effective open house. Step 1, strategically select the home you want to hold open.
Is that me?
Yeah, I think so. Just maybe mute yourself. There you go. Works on his audio.
This might be a home that isn't a great traffic pattern, whether that be car traffic or people walking by in walkable
Somebody else
neighborhoods
still.
community. Select a home around a local event where neighbors or even out-of-town people might be stopping in. Step 2 of holding an effective open house is advertising and marketing. Marketing.
Okay, it looks like maybe you're done. Give me a thumbs up if you're done. Done. Okay. Okay, cool. All right. So let me turn this one off again. Mute that. One second.
Okay. Can you guys hear me okay? Okay.
Yes.
All right. So any ahas on that? Any ahas on that? Who wants to join? Can you hear me
He
or
just
no?
makes it, yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
He just makes it sound so easy. Right?
Yeah.
It's not that easy to get a listing. It's
Yeah,
not that
just do these things. Yeah.
What do you do in a market center? Like, I'm based out of Grand Pass, and open houses just don't really work for us. We're
Say
lucky
that
if we
again.
get one or
Say
two.
that. What would you? I'd missed that first part. Why doesn't it work for you?
I think just because we're not as big of a market center, and I mean, the last open house I did, I had 2 people, and they both were already represented.
Okay. And where are what location are you selling in?
Grants Pass.
Grants Pass. Okay. I would say, so one thing Chris says in that video that at the very beginning that I think is the most important, especially if you're, no problem, Amy, especially in your, thanks for being here. If you're in a market where you're not getting, there's not as much activity or, there's the market isn't as hot and there's not as many buyers. And when we all shift into a market where it's slower, right? You specifically, I would say that you're going to want to be more selective with your open houses. Find the ones, like Chris says, find the ones that are near shopping or in great locations. If you're going to do a house like out in the country, where you've got acreage and stuff, it better be in a place that it better be priced really well in a great location, in great condition, and know that you may not get a whole lot of people, but be more selective on your open houses. That would be my guess and my suggestion, and you may not have a lot to choose from. And the other thing is make your open houses productive. So a lot of times, like when we were in a different market, agents would say to me, and things weren't selling like they are, and you just get like 1 or 2 people. You had a terrible open house, but it was boring. I sat there the whole time and do anything. So make it productive. it's a time that you could be lead generating on the phone. If someone comes in, you can say, hey, to your database, you could say, hey, I'm holding this open house. It's really awesome. Let me tell you about it. But if someone jumps in, I'll have to jump off the call and I'll call you back. Somebody walks in. So make them.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, have a plan because of how you're going to make it productive. Write handwritten notes to your database, right? Just checking in. Write emails like when I first started, most places didn't have Wi-Fi, right? So I would bring my laptop and I would just write a bunch of emails to my clients, and then I would just and I would do it on a Word document so I could just copy and paste when I got back to the office. So just really think about like, what is my plan to be productive, to continue to lead gen during the open house, because it's incredible bunkering time. Like you're in a house by yourself, nobody's there. You can get really focused, or you can just sit on social media and skim through Facebook and look at people's newsfeed. You can waste your time, or you can be productive. Now, I'm not saying there's definitely ways that you can be productive on social media, but make sure you have a plan to do so. Great question. So let's see. So we talked a little bit about door knocking. For the open house. So Gary Keller says to door knock 100 surrounding homes. You can definitely do that. That's a lot. You're going to probably be doing that for a couple of days. You're not going to do it all day long. You probably take a couple hours here and a couple hours there. We usually do like 20 to 50, and it depends on the neighborhood. If it's like you're driving into a pocket, we may do the whole area, because everyone's going to kind of know that it's on the market. Whoever is going to be impacted by the home going on the market, that's who you want to be knocking on the door. And it might be 100. Just to let them know, give them a flyer saying, hey, this is what our open house is, and just kind of start to build rapport, have some good relations or good conversations with those people. And if you do, it turns into a relationship, and then you end up maybe adding them onto your database, following up with them, checking in, seeing how they're doing, how's their family. So there's that. And then let's see, National Association of Realtors reports that 92% of buyers use the internet for the property search on Zillow, Trillia, Realtor.com. A lot of people use the KW app and other apps as well. And so that's where a lot of times they use that for their search, but that's a lot of times where they start as well, is kind of looking around. Use social media to get the word out about the open house. Create a Facebook event, invite people. Market the open house as a fun, exciting event. Post an open house on neighborhood groups. Get the word out on different forums. So I'd say that's great stuff. Doing an invitation, inviting people. And you may not get anyone that shows up, but like use that shows up from your database to an open house. Every once in a while, I'll have one or two people that do show up, and it's kind of fun to reconnect. The goal is not really to actually get people from your database there. It's to provide exposure for the listing and to show your database that you're actually out there doing things and being successful. Now, the next statement, the tip at the bottom of page 19, I don't completely agree with. And I'll tell you why. I think as a new agent, doing a business page for yourself is good. You absolutely could and should do that. But to build the algorithm up to where you are getting the exposure and the views, it takes a while, and sometimes you have to pay a little bit to do that. Now, on your personal Facebook, it's a little easier to get more exposure to your people, the people you want to see that you're doing things. However, it's very easy to be a realtor that they don't like to see your posts. It's you want people to know you're in real estate, not hate to know you're in real estate. And some agents will take advantage of Facebook and Instagram. Instagram, it's a little easier to post away, but you can still, it's super easy, as you all know that are on social media, to go in at any platform and unfollow someone within seconds, right? And so you can still remain friends, but you're unfollowing them. And now they don't see any of your stuff. So you want to, on your business, if you do a business page on Facebook, you can post away. If you want to post 3 things a day, great. It's not going to necessarily hurt you. But on your personal page, I would absolutely post on there, but I would do it in a way, and this is my opinion, others might have different, but I would do it in a way that's sincere and who you are, not who everyone else is, not who other realtors are. Figure out who, I mean, you probably know who you are. And it's, I know it's always we're all self-discovering all the time, but it needs to feel like you. And I would post when you're starting out, I would post a 5-to-1 ratio, 5 personal posts to 1 business professional. Okay. So it can be like, if you don't have any listings and you don't have any clients, you have the whole market inventory to go look at. So you could post something that your family's doing. If you don't have a family, it's something you're doing. You're going on a hike. You're doing these personal things. You're gardening, and then the 4th or 5th post, you post something about the real estate market. Maybe it's an article. Maybe it's a picture of something in your home and a home that you're touring. That's really cool. Make it interesting and something enjoyable that they're going to read. And I would do that consistently. Like a 3-to-1 ratio is okay. That's a little much real estate on your personal page, but 5-to-1 is good. 4 or 5-to-1. So 4 personal to 1 real estate. And I guarantee you that if you do that on a regular basis, and you're sincere and you're commenting and engaging, you're going to get people remembering you as someone that's successful in the industry. So you can kind of be whoever you want to be on social media. It's really a lot of it's perceived. Be true to who you are, but at the same time, share what you're doing personally and professionally. And so anyone have any questions on that? I know we were just talking about just Facebook. Other platforms, I have a Twitter account, but I don't tweet, so I'm not on there really. And then Instagram, I'm on quite a bit, and so it's a similar thing. Instagram, they can quickly judge who you are by just spending a couple of seconds and looking at your profile and all your photos. So make sure you go through and clean up anything that should be cleaned up, and then keep it fresh and new and fun. People love to see what's weird about real estate, what's fun about it, interesting things that's happened, and they also like to celebrate in your success. But don't make it all about you all the time. Make it about others and just be true to who you are. Cool. All right, so next page talks about a little about Twitter, post images. You can tweet tips and staging and moving tips. Create a Pinterest board. That's cool. I haven't done that one, but I do have a Pinterest account, and I went on there and so they said create a Pinterest board for your new listing. That's pretty cool. And if you are using Pinterest in a way that you're engaged with the people in your database and others, then do that. I think that'd be something you like. I went into Pinterest early on and just did like local parks and a board with local parks, a board with restaurants, and just kind of area stuff, so that when people land on my page or they search or they see or friend request me, then they can see some nice real estate type stuff on there. And then, I'm not super engaged with that. I'm engaged with really Instagram and Facebook for the most part. And then, there's some agents that are using Snapchat at a very high level with their database. And so if that's something that you understand and you can do at a high level and engage with people in your database, then use Snapchat. Just find a platform that you use primarily and be consistent with whatever you do, and then make adjustments as you go. But don't overdo the real estate stuff, in my opinion. So let's see. Is anyone using, like, I'd love to hear some examples of the way you're using social media now.
I am. I'm even running ads on the Facebook, and I'm only been in this industry for like 2 months, 3 months now. And
Cool.
it is kind of hard. I'm with Sunset Corridor. It is hard to get to ask for other agents for open house. I've been emailing everyone like every other weekend. I don't want to bug them a lot, but
Yeah.
yeah, it is kind of hard. I even ask now at other firm agents. I kind of know a couple of them, so I kind of ask them too, because I feel like maybe they're kind of afraid in a way, like, you know, I'm gonna take their listing or their clients, but because there's not a lot, I guess, out there now, houses.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm actually running ads too on the Facebook and Instagram. It's the cheap ones, it's not that much. But yeah, I got like, I've been doing this for like almost 3 months since I become licensed. But yeah, I got a bunch of like some people trying to message me, like selling stuff. But I got a couple like out of state people like asking me, because I guess I put it some on the out of state and some around here.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah. Yeah, there's some great classes through KW Connect that will help you run those ads to get leads. And when you get a listing, we will spend a small dollar amount. I think it's like $20 to get some leads, and we get a few leads, and I get a little more exposure for the listing. But yeah, and I've heard of people perfecting how to write a really bad ad so that you get visual exposure and you're not actually getting calls. So like you kind of like, one thing we do with our team does with our social media, all of our platforms, we have the same headshot, so that whether you're on Instagram or Twitter or LinkedIn or Facebook or whatever it might be, you see the same exact headshot, not this, hey, we're with our family in Hawaii headshot, or we're here over here. It's the same exact thing. And then when the clients are online in those different areas, and they're also connected with you on those different areas, they see that, and then you create what we call mind share, right? They're thinking about you everywhere. They're like, and they'll actually eventually, then they'll see your sign with the same flyer with the same headshot on the flyer, right? And then they'll see you know, a listing or whatever it might be, and then all of a sudden they're like, we see you everywhere, right? And I'm like, I just have one listing. What do you mean you're creating a mind share they're seeing? So I love that. I think that is a good way to look at how to set up your marketing, if that's attracts you in that way. So anybody else using social media now to engage with their clients as a new agent? Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I just started as a new agent, but I have a business to my wife. We have like a permanent makeup studio, and we do everything in Facebook and Instagram. And basically, like every time we run an ad, we get like a 10 or 20 more clients. So really works, you know, when you're doing the right way.
You said you get 10 or 28 clients, you say?
Yeah, for our studio. Yeah. So my wife does like So we just do Facebook and Instagram, and the results are very good. You know, we got a lot of clients every time you run an ad.
So you run the ads for your wife's business?
Yeah.
Right, is what you're saying? And now you're gonna
start doing for me as well. Yes.
That's excellent. Well, maybe you'll be teaching that class. That's great. I love it. Yeah, that's, if you're having success with there, just move it over, you know, change it to real estate and see how that how your engagement. And if you know how to work the back end of that, like you've been tweaking your wife's ads, and you guys have been like really understanding what it takes and making tweaks and adjustments, it should be fairly easy for you to do that with the real estate side, to start seeing leads, or at the very least get it started and then make those adjustments. So good for you. I love that. You know, I don't pay, I mean, other than the $20 that I pay each listing, it's important for y'all to know that you don't necessarily need to spend money to get business on social media. It really is building a relationship with your database within Facebook, Instagram, or wherever you're at, and connecting with them, engaging with them. If you're posting and someone comments, you need to comment back. And you know, I have a thing on our team, it's no comment left behind, right? So if someone comments, you need to comment back. They took the time to write on your post. Tell them, you know, give them a minute to and talk to them. Obviously, you like it or heart it or whatever, and then maybe take that to instant messenger, or look for opportunities to take the online offline. Look for those opportunities, right? And they're everywhere. You're scrolling through your news feed, and you're seeing people that are going through tough times or celebrating things, and there's someone that lives locally close to you that you want to connect with. It wouldn't be very hard to go to your garden and snip a flower out and drive by and put it in a little vase and set it on their front porch, or knock and hand it to them. Like, look for those opportunities to take the online offline, because that's where the magic happens. And who else is doing that? Everyone's just hitting the like or the sad face, right? So so look for those opportunities there. Thank you for those who commented on what they're doing. I think those are great ideas. They're really, really, really good. And social media is huge way to connect with your database. Oh, the other thing is, before we move on that, you know, if you don't know this already, on Messenger, you can actually call people through Messenger if they have the Messenger app downloaded on their phone. And you've probably seen it, or maybe you've done it on accident, which I did the first time, right? But I can't remember what it was, but it was something like, if you call someone on the phone, it's like a less than 10% chance these days, or maybe 15, that they're going to actually answer it, right? It's going to go to voicemail. Someone's going to either leave a message or not, and you start texting that person, right? Hey, just wanted to reach out, But it's like over 80% chance. It may have been 79, but somewhere 80, 81, 79 to 81% chance someone told me that they will pick up the phone if you call on Messenger, because they don't know what it is, right? So they haven't experienced it yet. Most people have not experienced it yet. So they're just like, whoa, I'm getting a call on Messenger from Jesse. Well, I wonder if this is a pocket dial, right? Let's answer it. And they answer. It's like, hey, does this thing work? Like, you make a joke and be like, you know, I'm just calling people on Messenger. I think this is pretty cool. I just wanted to check in with you guys and see how you're doing. Oh my gosh, it's great to hear you. And often you might look and on Messenger, you don't have phone numbers for some of those people, but you can call them, and they'll pick up if they're available. So I thought that's pretty cool, and we have done that on our team. It's been worth it. The other thing you can do is, if you're trying to build your database and add people to your database, go through your friends list and look to see who the mutual friends are on your friends, and click those mutual friends and really understand, like, does this person know me, or do I know this person? And add them to your database. If your most local MLSs, you can search, if you know the county they live in and they don't have a last name like Smith or Jones or something like that, you can search the last name in the county and find their address. Now you have the address, you don't have a phone number, but you can call them on Messenger. So you're starting to get your database built. So that's another tip there, since we're talking about social media. Trying to give you guys as much like good information, and not just the standard information that they have in this course. So trying to where I can, trying to give you as many tips as possible. So I hope that's helping. Okay, so we are going to talk now about, we talked about that. Okay, we'll move to page 21. And so really the understanding here is that you need a time block in your calendar to communicate with your sellers on a regular basis once you have a listing. Like you promised them that you were going to have the best service possible, 10 plus customer service. And now you've got the listing, and some agents will fall short of that. And a week later, they haven't even talked to their seller, right? So you really need to go to your calendar and block the time and make it so that it's a fixture in your calendar that you're not moving it around. There's a lot of stuff we move on a day-to-day basis due to priority or whatever it might be, but you need to make sure and follow up with them. You know, often it's easier to do that consistently in the morning because your day gets ahead of you and you get crazy things happen and all this stuff, and all of a sudden someone calls you and you're going to go look at a property, and then next thing you know, you can call your seller. So I would find a good time that works for you. You time block it and make sure it's in there and it gets done. The words there is just kind of a scrambled words of the, it represents the covenant or your agreement that you entered into with your seller. So all those are extremely important things that you have demonstrated to your seller, and that's why they hired you, okay? There's no such thing as over communicating when it comes to outstanding service to your clients. It's so true. Communicate, and do it in multiple different ways. Email, you send them things you receive for the transaction. Text them, call them when it's appropriate. All of that is very important. Okay. So this right here is your what value do each of the following communication tips provide to the customer? So it just gives you an exercise that you guys can go through the communication tips and the different values that it provides. So if you guys want to take a couple minutes and go through that and write down the different values that it provides the customer, each of those. We'll just do like 5 minutes. And anytime it says e-edge, just, I'm sure they've told you this before, just think command. That's, they need to update these. E-edge was our old CRM. Okay, so we're gonna do this and be a little interactive here. So the first one, who wants to read the first tip and then share your value?
You'll have to forgive me. I'm driving and just listening.
Okay, yeah, no worries. So I'll just, for those that are just listening, I'll read the first one. Always ask and learn about your customer's preferred communication method and timing. Is it phone, email, text, twice a week. What is that? So what would the value be to the customer if you were to do that and provide that level of communication?
Well, it shows that you're paying attention to what's important to them, and it also helps you, you know, get to know them better, and they appreciate that you care how they communicate.
Yeah, like when if you just by asking that question,
Right.
it just feels like, wow, they're actually want to respect the way we communicate. And you know, some people are more introverted and they just like, you know what, could not that all introverts are, but could you just text me? I don't want to necessarily talk. I can do everything text. And then if someone asks me that and I'll say, yes, I will text you 90% of the time. Would it be okay to have a permission to call you 10% of the time if there's something important that we need to like detail and talk about? And just so then at that point you've got permission of course, absolutely, we want to do that. So thank you for that. And yeah, just shows respect for sure. So match styles in person, on the phone, always seek to match their communication style. So yeah, we talked about that. The value there is just respect, and that's how a lot of people that's how they're doing their day to day. How they're doing it at Nike or Intel or wherever they're working at, or their personal lives. Always update. Updates should happen even when there's no new information to share. If there's no news, consider if needs to be changes, conditions, price, or both. So just if you've got no update, like it makes more sense to call them to let them know that, hey, I know we're still in the market, we're working hard for you. It hasn't sold yet, but we've got interested people that are looking at it, and just wanted to let you know, I didn't have an update, but I wanted to call, let you know that we're still working hard for you. Like that versus nothing, a seller wondering and pondering what's going on. This is stressful. We don't have an offer on our home. At least they know that you're still there helping them and working hard for them. Their minds go everywhere. Like, we haven't heard from Jesse. Like, is there something wrong? Like, and then is he doing his job? Like, all that stuff is going through people's head. So, and it takes a lot longer. I can't remember what the statistic was, but it's something like, if you update someone, it'll take you like 5 minutes to do that. If someone reaches out to you for an update with specific questions and concerns, might take you 45 minutes to address that. So let's be in front of that on a regular basis, and also suggest ways that you can improve their services. Maybe it needs a price reduction, that type of thing. Be
I have a
prompt.
question.
Yeah, you bet.
Sorry. Yeah. Now, how often do you want to update your SOI? I mean, it's the people that you actually know, like friends. How often do you want to update them?
Yeah, so somebody that's not a seller, you're just talking about a general sphere of influence.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
which that it might be for the next future, they might use you, or maybe, because you're like friends, family, stuff like that around here.
Yeah, so it's going to depend on your database and how you want to connect with them. But typically, at Keller Williams, they say 33 or 37 touch, so 37 times a year. So it doesn't necessarily need to be, that's a lot if you think about it. Like, you're not calling them 37 times a year, but it's back to that mind share thing that we talked about, right? So they're seeing you on social media, they're seeing you on different platforms, they're maybe receiving a newsletter from you once a month, email. You maybe once a quarter, you decide to send them something in the mail, or you do a pop by, which is just basically dropping something off at their door, something that's not expensive, but just thinking of you. It could be even a handwritten note. So they say like if you really want to do that at a high level, it's different things, 30, 33 or 37 times a year. And it's sometimes that's hard for folks to capture, and it's giant, it's big, it sounds expensive. It's not necessarily expensive. There's a lot of stuff you can do without spending a lot of money. And but I would say have a plan and maybe start small, so that you feel some success. So like a lot of people would like, I'm gonna do this to 200 people and this is what we're gonna do. Maybe the 200 people all get your monthly newsletter that you're emailing out, right? Maybe they all get that. And but maybe the pop by and the whatever else might be is done to 25 people and you think about the people that are most influential for your business, most supportive, people that have sent you business referrals, have an opportunity to do that, you're trying to build a relationship with, or maybe someone that is going to sell it at some point, and you put together a list of kind of your VIP people that you focus on, and you're on a more regular basis with them. And then you grow that as you're able and feel comfortable to expand. But I think sometimes people, what I've seen a lot of new agents kind of get stuck because we say that we're going to do this really big thing. And when we really need to focus on going small to go big, just make sure whatever you do and everything you do is consistent. So it's time on task over time creates success. So that's the biggest lesson is everything you do needs to be very consistent, and do it to where you can create success and that you're not feeling down because you didn't hit your goal. Even when people say, I'm going to lead gen for 2 hours a day, and well, things happen and lead generation doesn't happen today. So tomorrow we're doing lead generation, and then it's 2 hours, and that sounds like a lot. And then all of a sudden that doesn't happen. And then, you only get 30 minutes in, and each day you're getting a different amount in, and it's just crazy. And not to say like I want you to lead generate for 2 or 3 hours a day. I would love that. But there's a lot of people that aren't doing it all because it's so grueling. So I'd rather see you do it for 20 minutes hyper focused or 30 minutes hyper focused on calling the most important people in your database, reaching out to them however you're going to reach out to them, and do that consistently to where you create a habit. And the One Thing book talks about it takes 66 days to create a habit. So do you think if you were to call your database and you were to call for 20 minutes every day for 66 days, that you'd be comfortable with that activity at that point? Right? And 20 minutes isn't grueling, right? 2 hours to me as a new agent felt like, oh my gosh. So you would feel way better about it. And I'm not saying 20 minutes needs to be it, and because don't tell them that I instructed you to only lead gen for 20 minutes. The point is you need to feel successful and be consistent. So that's a little bit about lead generating and following up with your database and giving you some information there. Okay, so, and as you can see, I'm not really tracking. There was one thing I skipped over, and it's right at the top of the screen where it says customer service experience, creating a wow factor. Have you guys, if anyone has ever had an experience with a great company, a wow factor that they've had in customer service, what does that look like to you? When you say wow factor customer service, if anyone could share that experience that they had with a company that provided that kind of service to you, I'd love to hear what that is.
I can share one.
Okay.
I was in the banking business, and I actually been there for like quite a while before I stay home and become a stay-at-home mom. Yeah, I was in the banking business for almost 15 years. And what happened is we have this thing where whatever that the customer, what would the bank do that for their customer? So what we do is we go to the bank and actually bring a croissant. We bring a croissant to the bank and ask them to actually warm it up.
You cut out. What did you bring to the bank?
A croissant. A croissant,
okay.
like yeah. We actually bring that and then have the someone to warm it up for us. And so most of the time they're like confused, like, what? Why are you bringing croissant to the bank? Like, you know, what? Like a lot of them don't want to do anything. So we went into one bank and they actually did it for us. And that show us like, you know, it show us like, it's a bank. Why would you want to ask them to warm up a croissant? It has nothing to do
awesome.
like anything. So yeah, and then it creates like, you can tell like who actually wants to do it. The manager's like, oh yeah, I'll warm it up for you. Like, you know, sure, no problem. Like, you know, why would you bring to the bank? Like,
yeah, I love that. Yeah, just thinking outside the box, like little things are really big to people, and creating an experience that they would remember.
Yeah, because you will always remember what they do above and beyond. Yeah, I have a lot of those, but yeah, it's kind of like, it's not where you are, but they will remember you, not the thing maybe that what they do, but what you do, but it's actually you.
Yep, I love it. I just realized that. I realized someone else's screen was being shared, not mine. So we'll get to here. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. 3. Interesting. My computer's all locked up, so I'm just going to roll with where the next thing we're going with. You guys all have like printouts of these, or are you looking on your computer? How does it work now that we're virtual? We used to have like handbooks.
I have the Ignite binder.
Okay, you have a binder. Okay, yeah, I wasn't sure how that works. So good deal. Okay, let's see. So excellence, customer service will set you apart. If you say you will communicate once a week, communicate twice a week, or until your seller asks you to scale down.
I don't like this new program. I'll just say that.
Yeah, are you talking about the which like doing virtually? I didn't know if she was talking to me. So say your staging expert will be in touch with the seller that week, then make sure they call the next day. Like just under promise, over deliver is essentially what we're trying to do there. All right, now page 24. I'm sorry, I can't move these pages along. It's not allowing me. I'm not sure what I did. Let's see. Be solution oriented. Okay, so really with this, you guys, like it's super important to communicate with your sellers, let them know what's going on at all times, but like have an answer, have the solution of the problem before you reach out to them. Have an idea, make a phone call before you call them to understand like how to fix the problem. So the question is, what kind of problems might arise that you can apply solutions to that you've seen a customer as you're seen as a customer's hero. So for me, it's like things like, let's say you get a repair addendum, which the buyer has had an inspection and they have asked for, there's water in the crawl space and there was some dry rot, right? And so you've asked, the buyer's asked for those things. Maybe you jump on the phone and check in with some contractors to see if there's people available to come out and look at it, and you were able to line somebody up to come out tomorrow or the next day. In this market, that might not happen, but you're able to kind of create a solution before, and when you call the seller, you could say, hey, these are the things the buyer's requesting. I think we should do our due diligence before we respond and make sure that we fully understand what's going on with the crawl space, especially. And so I went ahead and called the crawl space contractor to come out and take care of the issue. Or to take a look at the issue, so that we can have a good idea of what's going on and be able to respond. So then they're like, oh my gosh, Jesse's got this taken care of. He's already has a solution of what the next steps are, because they don't know. They're looking at you to guide them through the process. So we're gonna skip the video since the video is not working on this, and I apologize. But I did take some notes on it. Come on. Okay. Just talking about communicating every day over the phone or email. Tell them that tell them what you're doing in the process. They don't know what you're doing. So if you maybe list all the different things, like if you're going through and talking about the things you're going to do, list out like all the things you do in a process or in the process of selling the home, so that they're aware, and giving them the most exposure possible, everything that is involved in the sales process, and really so that they understand that you're doing all these things. Otherwise, they don't know what you're doing. When you first start out, you don't know what you're doing, right? So you will learn a lot through just going through your first transaction. And that's why Ignite's important. That's why you have mentors and people within your office that can help you understand and guide you. So just focus on really building those relationships, getting the business, and lean on Keller Williams and the support that we have in our market centers to help you through that process when you do get a listing or you do have a buyer in contract. I think that's really they were talking about like maybe you mow the grass, maybe you hire a college student or a kid that has a lawnmower. It costs you $40 or $25 for them to go mow the lawn. Like, that's above and beyond. There was one listing where I was competing in 5 different agents, and I told them, and this is something you guys can do. You can do it anytime, but probably won't be spending a ton of money on listings. And at first, and it didn't cost a ton. But I told them that I would have the lawn mowed, edged, bark dust, everything trimmed up, and I would I would have the carpets cleaned. I would have it professionally cleaned, and there's something else we did. But like thinking about things that you could offer as a part of your service, and you can of course charge more commission if you like for that. Or you can be competitive. Maybe you take a 6% listing and you offer all those things because you're competing with 5 other agents and you want to create a wow factor. Or maybe there are some agents that will have the house professionally cleaned for every seller that they meet with. So it's just part of their process. We will hire professional cleaners to come out and clean your home. And so maybe there's one thing that you do and you just know it's a line item in your expenses, like photography, but you're providing a little extra service than everyone else. And so how do you create that wow factor in customer service? So that was some of the things that were on that video. So we're on page 25, talking about the tips for communicating there. Sincerity, be honest and reliable, understanding, focus on their needs, wants, and values, predictability, deliver what is promised and expected, exceptionality, provide extraordinary and uncommon, responsiveness, report quick, and reliable. Sorry. So just make sure that you have those values, those standards that you have, and stick with it. Do what you say you're going to do, and they'll be super happy. They'll be screaming off the rooftops, telling everyone that they know what a great agent you are and how they should use you. Let me check the time real quick because it's not showing me. What time do we have? Not showing me. Oh, 3:10. So we got a little more time, so we're good. Zoom. Okay. Any questions so far? Okay. So providing that service will keep you top of mind, and it will help you get repeat business, referrals, and help you continue to be successful. All right. So there's an exercise on page 26. This is something that we would normally do in partners. Did you guys work on the listing presentation previously before this?
Are you talking about the package?
Well, on page 26, it says your turn, practice your listing presentation. I was just curious if you guys have taken the listing presentation class through Ignite yet.
No,
I
don't
have.
believe so.
Okay, so it's been given. Some people have not taken it, some have. Okay. So
Did you do it
importance
this
of-
year, Amy?
Amy, did you take it this year?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that might be one if you haven't taken it, catch up on. It's super important to have a listing presentation. Have something consistently that you can use. So like when I started in the business, I was like, went out and would try to get listings, and I would try to remember all the stuff that I was going to provide for service. And then I'd get in the car and I thought, man, I rocked it. And then I was like driving down the road and I was like, I didn't even tell them about the professional photography, like no brainer, like the basic things that you're doing. So a listing presentation, and there's different things that people do. Ours is very visual. And so it's kind of a visual checklist of different items that you take care of during the process, so that the seller at the end of the presentation feels like you're confident and competent in the different things that you're doing to be able to represent them, and they feel really good about the process, and you're able to deliver on something that you've put together, that you've practiced on, that it comes across sincere and it's the same every time. So they feel like, wow, Jesse was super prepared. Like all I have to do is like pull up my listing presentation, print it out, or we do it on an iPad, so we go through it, and then I'll run some comparables so that I have it, and then I'll go through the listing presentation afterwards. They're like, wow, this is crazy. We've never, we were interviewing other agents and no one ever did that. So think about, ask agents in your office. If you guys, I can even, if you guys are interested, jot down my email and send me an email, and I can send you a copy of my listing presentation. All I ask is that you guys, don't just put your picture on it and make it yours. If you want to use some of that stuff, great, just recreate it, and so that you can use it for your own. But it'll give you an idea of what we do, and after going through that, the sellers feel great. My email is, I'll just put it in the chat real quick so you have it. So we have, I will meet with people in my database or people that have reached out to sell eventually. Sometimes people say, we'd like to sell in a year or two. I'll even meet with them if they're talking about selling and they're 5 years out. Some agents will be like, why would you do that? They're not ready. Well, statistically, it says that I think the stats from NAR was like if you have an 80% chance of working with that seller if you're the first agent they meet. There's no time frame with that. You just have to be the first. You don't even have to be any good. You just have to be the first. So now if you can show up with a listing presentation and show them what they need to do to get the home ready, what kind of marketing that you're going to do when they are ready, and you go through that, even if it's years before they're ready, like they're going to walk away with, wow, Jesse is confident, competent, and he's ready to help us whenever we're ready. We know we're going to call Jesse. So I started doing that. I have a family, and so I was like, I need to figure out how I can just only work a couple late nights. So I was working Mondays and Wednesdays, and my goal was to either meet with current seller appointments and then be home on the other days, or I would meet with people that need to sell between 1 and 5, or doesn't matter when, 5 years out. And I would just meet with them and be of value to them. I would help them with contractor resources. What do they need to do to get their home ready? Because the minute someone starts thinking about selling their home, they start processing, okay, we're going to have to repair this, we're going to do this. And we want them to focus on the right things, not show up 2 years or 5 years later and it's the wrong, they've remodeled things they shouldn't have. So that script right there is exactly what I would use for the sellers to get myself in the door. And I would go through and I would perform the listing presentation to them and just say, hey, I know you're not ready for this, but when you are, I want you to understand what we do for marketing and how we can help you get your home ready. And then you just build a relationship where in the next year to 5 years, they're reaching out to you for resources and they're not reaching out to another agent. So what I would do is I would work late on Mondays and Wednesdays or whatever, Tuesdays and Thursdays sometimes. And then if I didn't have a seller appointment, I would fill that other spot with that other day with 2 people that will sell someday. And I started creating a giant pipeline of listings of people someday sellers. And then all of a sudden I get this giant pipeline of sellers that one's trickling out the funnel, like we saw at the beginning, and then more and more and more. Thanks for coming, Jamie. And so that's one way that you guys can do this, but having a listing presentation that you can go through and show that your professionalism is important. Any questions on that? I know that's a lot to compact. Amy, you said you've been through the class. Did you put together a listing presentation?
I did. And I was gonna ask you a question about that. It seemed like a lot of pages. So I was wondering how many slides or how many pages do you incorporate?
It's a great, so I incorporate as many as it needs for me to be able to show them what I want to show them. And you're right, you don't want to necessarily go too much. And when you say you put together a listing presentation, and there's a lot of pages, are those pages you put together, or is this the KW one that you've kind of tweaked and adjusted?
Yeah, so I used a template, and then
Okay.
I went through and I did delete a couple pages that I just felt like wasn't going to really add to it. And just went through and changed some things into my own words and took some things off that I didn't think were really relevant for right now. But yeah,
I would say it's what?
It seemed like a lot of pages. Like I was,
a lot, yeah.
I've seen my templates.
I would say if you're not spending, so like if you're presenting it with your client and you're not spending time on that page, it's either that it's not that important and you need to get rid of it, or you need to focus on learning that page more. And so I'll do that with mine even now. Like things will not be as relevant now. So I'm like, why? And I'm like, oh, well, I'm skipping over things, and I'll be like, you know what, that doesn't need to be in there. So sometimes shorter is better. Mine is really so that I can be really intentional about certain talking points, about what we do, what the expectations are. You know, I believe the best realtors in the industry are those that can master expectations of their clients. And part of that is that delivering that listing presentation early and making sure that the information in there is real and true to what you do and the professional service that you provide. So I would say less is more. And so if you've got 20 some odd pages and you're going to be there for an hour, it's too long. I mean, it'd be better if you had 5 to 10 pages.
Okay.
And it was real rich and good information. I'm going to switch this off of.
That's good to know, because the template started with 30 pages and I took out 5, but that's still 25 pages. So that's good to know. I'll go back through it.
Yeah, go back through it. And you might try practicing with other agents in your office, other agents that are in Ignite. Even if it's virtual, you can like practice each of you delivering your listing presentation, sharing your screen, going through it, because we're doing a lot of this stuff now on Zoom. So it's important for you to and we were doing some of that before with people that are out of state, sellers that are out of state. Yeah, so the great question, less is more a lot of the times. And you really want to really get your presentation down to like 20 minutes. If that's, people are going to start losing interest if it's any longer than that. And sometimes they go faster. You also need to read your client. So if it's, have you guys, some of you may have heard of the DISC profile, where it's, if you're a high D, it's DISC. High D is a driver, someone that wants to get things done now. High I is super excited and bubbly and full of life. They're the ones setting up parties. The C, DIS, S is like the stability, wants things to be stable and comfortable, wants to really know what's going on at all times, be comfortable with the situation. And the C is the detail-oriented, like engineer, loves numbers and graphs and charts and all that stuff. So really understanding who you're sitting down with, sometimes before you even sit down with them, which means you've got to ask great questions before you get to the listing appointment, to really know and listen to what they're saying and how they need to be presented to, will help you understand like how much time you need to spend on that listing presentation. Because if they're a high D, they want to really get this thing done, then you're probably just going to skim through it and cover over the facts and the details. They just want to know you're going to do a good job and that you're going to get it done. And where do I sign, right? What's your fee? Like they'll just like go right to it. If they're the detail oriented, then they're going to want more information. They're going to read every line. They're going to find your typos in your report, all that stuff. And there, you might add a couple of graphs, the TMO that provides data on the market, so that they can have that. If if they're a high S, then they're going to want more security, understand that you've got them covered. They're going to want all the information and know about, no surprises. And the high I, they just, are you bringing wine to the Brokers Open, or what do we do? Can I join? Like they're excited about the whole process and they want to know all the things. So really understanding that, and then now taking that to the next step, like now you know who that person is, because you've kind of got an understanding of how they communicate, and how you're going to present that listing presentation, but then also how are you going to interact with them, talk with them. A lot of times I'm a high D, and I sometimes go through things too quickly. So what I've done on my phone, on my contacts, is if I've got a high C, which I'm not, or I've got someone that is a high I or something, and I might get super, like sometimes if someone's super high I and they just want to just keep on going, I don't have time for it. So that's just who I am. That's who they are. But I need to know that to engage with them and be respectful and be patient, all that. So on my contacts, I might actually put a letter by that client, say they're high D. I need to talk a little quickly and help them, or a high C and spend a little more time. So I'll have like John Smith -C, right? So that when they call, then you're able to kind of get yourself to a place where you understand, you know, how to communicate. Some of this is kind of beyond this class and might be, you know, a little bit too much going overhead at this point. But if you, it's super important when you're delivering the listing presentation that you're really understanding who you're talking to. Okay.
Good information.
I think that's the majority of the material. I want to leave some time for anything, like just leave it open to anything you guys want to talk about, mastermind around, any helpful topics. How do I get business from this avenue, or whatever it might be. We've tried a lot of stuff through the years, and I've got lots of experience. I coach, you know, 4 agents on my team. I do mastermind classes on different topics, time blocking, all kinds of stuff. So if you guys want to, we have a little time. I'm more than willing to stay on until 4 if you'd like, or we could jump off early. But if you guys want to throw anything out there with questions or anything, that'd be awesome.
I have a question that might kind of just seem basic, but I get so many emails and advertising on just where to buy signs and be ready.
Hang on 1 second. I can't hear. So I'm going to switch the, turn this volume down and switch it over here. My Bluetooth went out. Whoop, that doesn't work. Go ahead. Oops.
I was just wondering about buying signage. I get a lot of advertisements, and I want to have directional signs ready for doing open houses. And do you have any recommendations of where to buy signs through?
So buying signage, you said for directionals. Repeat that again. Sorry,
no, it's okay. Thinking about open houses, when I the open house Ignite class, they were saying you need to have at least 5 directionals to set up and all that, and our office doesn't have any available, so I want to have those ready to go, but I don't know one company from the other.
Which market center are you in?
Sunset Corridor.
Oh, you're in Sunset Corridor. Okay. In Sunset Corridor, I'm in Sunset Corridor too. Hi, Amy, and I think somebody else was too. At Sunset Corridor, if you want to purchase them, I think they're like $37.50, or they might have gone up like $40 somewhere in there. And you can just purchase them from the front desk, and they have them ready to go.
Yeah. I had no idea.
Yeah. So now, if you want to take it a next step and order like stickers to put your name on them, you can do that as well. So
okay.
Yeah. So and if you ever need to borrow any, Amy, just let me know and I can get you some too. Like if you're not ready to spend money on that, I'm happy to help.
Sorry, I was just gonna ask, are you talking about the signage that has your name, Amy? That has like your name, or is it just a simple one like open houses?
I'm thinking about open houses. I'm wanting to host some open houses, so I want to be prepared.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, we're gonna turn this one off so you don't have two. Man. Okay, yeah. So, but if you want to order rider signs for, like they call them rider signs at the bottom of your listing when you order a sign, then you would order that through like just a sign company. There's Bear Printing, that's a local sign company. There's another company called Buzz White, and then Oakley Signs is a national one that I think prices typically are a little, they have some sales a couple times a year, but that would be how you do that. And then our office, and I think most of our market centers are the same. They will provide the actual sign, the actual for sale sign. So like you're equipped with that. You have to order your post from a post contractor. And I've got resources for that too. If you guys need, just reach out.
if you're local. And then so typically I think that's like 50 or 60 bucks. The sign for the the in the front of the house, they have that available for you. And then the rider signs is what you would order with your name on it and your title. You would order that from like Oakley Signs or one of those other ones.
Perfect. That's exactly what I needed to know.
Perfect. Yeah. What other questions or topics you guys want to go over?
I was just gonna ask, how do you approach a customer who wants to wait to put their house in the market without being too pushy, without being like too salesy? Like if it's your friend, because they're saying they just wanna wait because I know they're upgrading and they wanna wait for next year. Like, yeah, how do you approach that?
Yeah, I guess I would ask you a little bit more about why they want to wait. Like, tell me more, a little
They're
bit more
saying,
about.
yeah, they're saying like they don't want to be in the bidding war.
Okay.
So I kind of like, I try to not to push it, but then I could say, I told them about the interest rate still going up, and and they're actually, the house that they're having it right now will make money. They will make good money because they've been in there for almost 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't want to be in the bidding war and then having like those like over.
Yeah. And that's where we're at right now. So that's not a bad
Yeah.
reason to not do it. I would be talking to them about, obviously you've talked about interest rates. Their, what would their talk, a lot of times what I'll do is talk a little bit more about what their end home would look like, what the perfect house would look like. And if we could find that for a price that
Mhm.
you're comfortable with, and really understand what they could sell their place for, if we could still find that and not necessarily have to be, too crazy high, then would that be something you'd be open to looking at? Can I still send you listings and just kind of stay engaged with them
Yeah.
and continue to, support them, but like, could we still look if there's something, if your dream house showed up, what does that look like? What does that next house look like? And if I found that, could we still go look at it? That's a lot of times what we'll do in those types of cases. And then also it's like, like, when's it going to get better? Like, what's their time frame? The other thing is that if they're not super motivated right now because they don't need to. So they just might be a C or D buyer right now.
Okay.
And something could happen at any time where they turn into a buyer because their motivations change. So it's super important to stay connected with those. Those are tricky sometimes. Also, just maybe encouraging them to look at what their house could sell for, doing a walkthrough to understand what repairs that, if, like I said before, if you're thinking about selling now, in a year or two, we should walk through now and really understand what you need to do to get the highest amount possible so that you focus on the next year or two those the right things versus the things that maybe you don't need to do because we're in a seller's market. So let's meet now, and then so we can maximize what you can get for your home later. And when you start talking about what they can make, usually they'll meet with you, and you can just start that process. So it's not a direct answer. It's a lot of stuff that you continue to do to be of service to them, provide them contractors, really have an understanding of what they're trying to do.
Thank you.
I'm wondering about those home buyers that don't want to sell their house unless they know of a property that they want to buy.
Mhm.
Is that even feasible right now? I mean, is there a place for that buyer, or do they just need to bite the bullet and sell?
Yeah. So if you want to be competitive, you're not writing contingent offers right now. So it's a great point. Until we're not going to sell until we find the one we want to buy. Well, when we find the one we're going to buy, are we even able to make an offer and get it accepted? If the property has been on the market for any length of time, like more than a week, you might have a better chance. of doing that, but then you're paying a little more for the property because there's a reason why it hasn't sold, so it's probably overpriced. But we've been able to write some contingent offers in this market. So it is doable if it's like a unique property, like not in the greatest location, but they are like, this works for us. And because of the contingency, they're having to pay a little bit higher price. We haven't wrote a lot, and it's very, very, you're probably not going to have that experience being a new agent, having just a, I mean, we work with a lot of clients, so we have one here and there. So another option for you, it's a new program called Knock, and you can Google it, just like the door knock, Knock. Have you heard of it? Knock. If you haven't heard of it,
Is it like a bridge loan type
it
thing?
is. It is, but they're not doing, like, most lenders aren't doing bridge loans anymore, but it's very similar to
Oh,
that.
okay.
There are some that do it, but they don't like it. They don't like. I've talked to several lenders that say, "Oh yeah, we offer that, but then they just kind of don't really want to deal with it because there's a lot of,
Interesting.
it's a big hassle." And so this program, this is what they specialize in. Knock financing, I think they are, and they write basically. It's not quite a bridge loan, but it's basically they you can write a non-contingent offer, and they will allow you to have to they basically purchase your home, or put their on title. My We just did our first one, and I had a buyer's agent do it, and it went smooth. It's very successful. You have like, 30, you can go out and write their offer non-contingent, and then you have 30 days to get your home on the market once that non-contingent offer closes. So you've got lots of time,
Wow.
and
That's a
then
long
you
time
can,
to look.
move to your next house, you can repair it, then you can get it on the market, and then you have 6 months to sell that house. And they will give you the money up front for your down payment. They will, whatever proceeds, they'll give you a certain percentage of your proceeds, and it works. And it's then they have an agreement. If you haven't sold it in 6 months, then they buy it cheap. And they have a purchase agreement in place for that. So it's and once you see the purchase agreement, you're like, holy cow, that's 100,000 lower than where we're going to list it. But in this market, you can get away with it because it's going to sell, right? And so that works really, really well. We just did our first one. It's a new program, and so there is a solution. So if you're interested in Naka, go onto their website. The process is that you have to register to, um, become a, knock certified agent, and you just go. It's a Zoom class that's like 30-40 minutes, and they explain the process. They send you the certification, and then once you have a client in that situation, then you point them in the right direction to a knock representative. They get them pre-approved. They explain the whole thing for you, and you're off and running, looking for a house non-contingent.
Wow.
So
Cool.
I think a lot of times the dilemma, the barrier for those folks is they say that they're going to wait until they find the right home to look at, to really get serious and all that, but really they need the proceeds from their home,
Mm-hmm.
and that might be actually the issue. So you can have that once you understand that program. I wish I could talk about it more elegantly. I wasn't involved in that process. A team member was, but it is a tool that we just proved that it was very successful, and very, very happy clients. There is a fee, origination fee of, or a fee for this process of 1.25% of the purchase price of the new home. That is
Okay.
it. That's it. That's the only catch in the process. So it's a convenience fee essentially, right?
Yeah.
Like, my client was absolutely happy to pay it. She'd pay it all day. She would have paid more if it was, because she was able to move her family, not have to sell. She could be competitive, and have an very easy transition. They'll also provide money, some of your equity, if you want it for repairs for your house, before you sell it. They'll do that too.
That's good to know because I have heard a lot of hesitancy in this market of if I sell my house and there's nothing to buy.
Yeah, where do I go? Right. Yeah. And
Mhm.
and then that you could be renting for a very long time. So
Mhm. Thanks.
you bet. All right. Anything else you guys want to go over? Awesome. Well, thank you all. This was fun. Hope you enjoyed it and got something out of it. And feel free to reach out anytime. You have my email. If you want to email me, I will send you a copy, a PDF of my listing presentation. And some of the stuff is very visual. There's not some explanation on some stuff. That's different talking points that we talk to. But it'll give you an idea of what we do and what we say and how we present ourselves. So, all right, enjoy. Go take some listings.
Yeah. Thank you, Jesse.
you.
A lot of
You bet. Take care. See ya.